When working with Tableau, the term mark refers to any item on a chart that represents your data. A bar in a bar chart, a circle on a map, or a symbol on a scatter plot are all examples of marks. There's a particular part of the Tableau workspace that's specific to marks, called the Marks card. Here, you can set all kinds of different properties for marks on your chart, such as colors, size, labels, and more. The Marks card has undergone a lot of changes in Tableau 8. If you've used previous versions, you'll notice that it looks and works very differently than before. The first thing you'll see on the Marks card is a mark type drop-down list. If you double-click fields in the data window to create your chart, or drag fields to the rows and column shelves, the mark type is always set to automatic. This means that Tableau will use the fields you've placed on your chart to determine a best practice type of mark. For example, Tableau will use bars for any non-geographic or non-date dimensions you use. If you use a date dimension, the chart will use a line. And if you use a geographic field, such as state, the mark will be a filled circle on a map. In all these cases, though, the mark type will be automatic. But if you use Show Me to create your chart, Tableau may set a different mark type for you. Or you can change the mark type yourself by making a different choice from the drop-down list. Try different mark types if you need to, but always remember visual best practices. Use the mark type that best conveys your data to your audience. The next part of the Marks card to look at is color. If you just want to change the default color Tableau assigns to your marks, click Color on the Marks card. A small dialog appears where you can pick a different color, set transparency, and change some effects. But you can also drop a dimension or measure on color to change the color of your chart based on that dimension or measure. If you drop a dimension on color, you'll see stark, distinct colors for each member of the dimension. But if you drop a measure on color, you'll see a graduated color representing the range of measure values in your data. Notice that the measure or dimension you drop on color now appears at the bottom of the Marks card with an icon indicating that field is affecting mark color. Size is similar. If you just click it, you can change the size of your marks. But as with color, you can also drag a dimension or measure onto size to change the size of your marks based on the field. Adding a dimension to size probably isn't very useful. It will segment each mark for each dimension member. But dragging a measure on size is more useful. You'll see different sizes for each mark based on that measure. And as with color, a field you drag on size will appear at the bottom of the Marks card with the matching icon. You can add labels to your marks in a number of ways. With the Analysis menu or the toolbar. If you want to show something other than the measure value on your marks, dragging a field to label will place the value of that field on the mark. One change in Tableau 8 is the ability to drag more than one field onto label. Detail may not be so intuitive. Placing a field on Detail simply adds it to the underlying database query so that any values returned include the field you added. In some cases, this may not add value to your chart. In others, adding a field to Detail may be exactly what you need. Tooltip controls what appears when you hover your mouse over a mark. By default, any dimensions or measures already in use anywhere on your chart appear in the tooltip. But by dragging additional fields onto Tooltip, you can add more. In most cases, you'll probably want to add other measures to Tooltip. And if you click Tooltip, a complete text editor appears where you can customize all kinds of things on the tooltip, like font color, size, justification, and other things. At the beginning of this video, remember when I mentioned different mark types? Well, depending on the mark type you choose, other Marks card options may appear too. For example, if you are using a shape mark type, you can change the type of shape that appears, either manually or via a field dragged to shape. In Tableau 8, you can now drop more than one field on text. And if you choose a pie mark type, angle appears. Drag a measure there to determine how big each piece of the pie will be. As you can see, there are lots of options on the Marks card. Go ahead, experiment away. You can always undo something that doesn't work out. But just keep visual best practices in mind. You'll always want to convey data to your audience in the most meaningful way.